My mom brought a secret son to my dad's funeral to steal my inheritance. She didn't know Dad left a trap. The funeral was perfect. Too perfect. The lilies smelled like expensive perfume, the organ music was just sad enough to be tasteful but not depressing, and my mother, Linda, was playing the role of the grieving widow with an intensity that deserved an Oscar. She stood by the casket, dabbing at dry eyes with a lace handkerchief, accepting condolences with a fragile, tragic grace. I stood in the corner, watching her. My father, Richard, had been a good man. A wealthy man. He built a logistics empire from the ground up. He loved me. He tolerated Linda. Their marriage had been a cold war for as long as I could remember, separate bedrooms, separate lives, united only by tax brackets and appearances. But today, Linda was the picture of devotion. He was my rock, she sobbed to a business partner, clutching his arm. I don't know how I'll go on without him. I took a sip of water, trying to wash down the bile in my throat. I knew why she was crying. She was crying because she was about to be very, very rich. The estate was valued at $20 million. Then, the doors to the chapel opened. A man walked in. He was about my age, 30-something. He looked rough. He was wearing a suit that didn't fit, the sleeves too long, the fabric shiny and cheap. He looked out of place among the tailored wool and silk of my father's associates. He walked straight up to the casket. He ignored everyone. He placed a hand on the wood. Linda gasped. A theatrical, sharp intake of breath that silenced the room. "Who are you?" she demanded, stepping forward, her voice trembling with manufactured outrage. "This is a private service." The man turned. He looked at Linda. Then he looked at me. "I'm Kyle," he said. His voice was loud, projecting to the back of the room. "And I'm Richard's son." The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush a car. "What?" I stepped forward. "I'm Richard's son. I'm his only son." "Not anymore," Kyle said. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a thick envelope. He handed it to me. DNA test. 99.9% match. And letters. From him to my mom. From 1990. I took the envelope. My hands were shaking. I opened it. The DNA report was from a reputable lab. Relationship, half-sibling/parent-child match confirmed. The letters were handwritten. The script was messy, scrawled. It looked like my dad's writing, but shaky. To Jessica. "I'm sorry I can't be there. The money should help." Linda let out a scream. She collapsed into a chair, wailing. "He cheated," she shrieked. "He lied to me. 30 years. He had a secret family." The guests were whispering. The funeral director looked like he wanted to vanish. "I'm suing," Linda yelled, pointing at the casket. "I'm suing the estate. Emotional distress. Fraud. I want everything. If he betrayed me, I deserve every penny." I looked at Kyle. He looked smug. He looked like a man who had just won the lottery. "I just want what's mine," Kyle said to me. "Dad would have wanted me to have a share." Dad. He called him Dad. I looked at the DNA test again. I looked at the markers. I'm a hobbyist genealogist. I spent years tracing our family tree back to the 1700s. I know how to read a STR analysis. I scanned the alleles. D13S 317, 12, 13. VWA, 16, 18. And then, I saw it. HERT2, blue/blue. The gene for eye color. My father had brown eyes. Deep, dark brown. The woman mentioned in the letters, Jessica, I assume she had brown eyes too, if she was local to where my dad grew up. Most people did. But Kyle? Kyle had bright, piercing blue eyes. And Linda? Linda had blue eyes. I looked at Kyle. I looked at Linda. The nose. The chin. The way they both held their posture when they were defensive. Kyle wasn't my father's son. He was my mother's. I felt a cold realization wash over me. This wasn't a surprise to Linda. This was a play. This was a heist. Linda had a secret son. A son she had before she met my dad. A son she had hidden away, probably given up for adoption or left with relatives. And now, she had brought him back. She had coached him. She had forged the letters. She was trying to pass her own secret child off as my father's bastard so they could crack the trust. My father's will was specific. The bulk of the estate was in a trust for biological children of Richard Sterling. If Kyle was his son, he got half. $10 million. And if Linda sued for emotional distress over the affair? She could drain the rest. They were trying to take it all. I closed the folder. Interesting, I said. We need to talk, I said to Kyle. After the service. At the house. Sure, brother, Kyle smirked. The rest of the funeral was a blur. Linda played the victim perfectly. She accepted hugs from people who whispered poor dear and what a scandal. She was setting the stage. She was building her case for the emotional distress lawsuit. We went back to the house. The mansion on the hill. We sat in the library. Me, Linda, Kyle, and Mr. Henderson, the family lawyer. This is a shock, Henderson said, adjusting his glasses. He looked at the DNA test. But the science seems conclusive. If Kyle is Richard's son, he is entitled to an equal share of the trust. I want half, Kyle said, leaning back in my father's leather chair, putting his muddy boots on the desk. And back child support. And I want compensation. Linda cried, dabbing her eyes. For the lies. For the humiliation. I devoted my life to him, and he was sending money to her. She pointed at the fake letters. I need to verify the test, I said calmly. I want a new sample. Independent lab. You don't trust me? Kyle bristled. It's right there. You think I faked my own DNA? I think DNA is complex, I said. And I think we should be thorough. Mr. Henderson, what does the will say about contested heirs? Henderson flipped through the binder. Section 9. In the event of a previously unknown heir claiming paternity, said heir must submit to a court-ordered DNA test from a specific list of accredited labs. Fine. Kyle shouted. I'll do it. I'm his son. You can't deny me. We'll schedule it for Monday, I said. Linda stood up. I can't believe you're doing this, Robert. He's your brother. Look at him. He looks just like, well, he has Richard's nose. Does he? I asked. I thought he had yours. Linda froze. Just for a second. Her eyes flickered. Don't be ridiculous, she snapped. I'm going to lie down. This is too much. She stormed out. Kyle followed her, probably to debrief. I stayed in the library. Mr. Henderson, I said. Did my father leave anything else? A letter? A sealed envelope? Henderson looked at me. He hesitated. There is one item, he said. In the safe deposit box. Your father gave me the key 3 years ago. He said, if Linda ever tries to claim I cheated, give this to Robert. Let's go get it, I said. It was Friday afternoon. The bank was closing soon. We drove there immediately. We went into the vault. The steel box was cold in my hands. I opened it. Inside was a single, thick envelope. Wax sealed. To Robert. Regarding the secret. I broke the seal. I pulled out a letter. It was handwritten. My father's distinct, sharp script. Robert. If you are reading this, it means Linda has played her card. It means a young man has shown up claiming to be my son. Or perhaps she is claiming I had an affair. I know about him. I've known about him since 1995. His name is Kyle, or whatever she calls him now. He is not my son. He is hers. She had him before we met. She gave him to her sister to raise. She thought I didn't know. But I hired a private investigator before we got married. I knew everything. I stayed with her because of you. I didn't want a broken home. But I knew, eventually, her greed would outweigh her caution. I knew she would try to use him to get more money. So, I updated the will. Look at the codicil attached to this letter. It is the legal override for the trust. I pulled out the second document. It was a legal amendment, signed and notarized 3 years ago. Codicil 4B, the polygraph clause. In the event that any individual claims to be my biological child postmortem, and my wife, Linda Sterling, supports or verifies this claim, the distribution of the spousal share, $10 million, shall be contingent upon Linda Sterling submitting to a polygraph examination administered by a court-appointed expert. The questions shall be: 1. Is this child biologically yours? 2. Did you conspire to defraud the estate? If she refuses the polygraph, or fails it, she is immediately disinherited. Her share reverts to Robert. Furthermore, if the claimant is proven to be her biological child via DNA comparison to her, not me, any attempt to claim assets shall be considered criminal fraud. I stared at the paper. He knew, I whispered. He knew for 30 years. This changes everything, Henderson said, reading over my shoulder. This is a nuclear option. It's a trap, I said. And she walked right into it. We went back to the house. It was evening now. Linda and Kyle were in the kitchen, drinking my father's expensive wine. They were laughing. They thought they had won. They thought the delay until Monday was just a formality. I walked in. I threw the codicil on the table. What is this? Linda asked, swirling her glass. It's an update, I said. From Dad. Dad is dead, Kyle sneered. His lawyer isn't, I pointed to Henderson, who stood in the doorway looking grim. Linda, I said. Dad knew. He knew about Kyle. Linda dropped the glass. It shattered on the floor, red wine pooling like blood. He knew, she stammered. He knew Kyle is your son, I said. Not his. Kyle stood up. That's a lie. I'm a Sterling. Are you? I asked. Because this document says that for Linda to receive her $10 million, she has to take a polygraph test. Tomorrow. A polygraph? Linda shrieked. I'm not taking a lie detector test. That's insulting. I'm a grieving widow. If you refuse, Henderson stepped in, you are disinherited. Section 4B $0. The entire estate goes to Robert. And, I added, looking at Kyle. We're going to test your DNA against Linda's. Not Dad's. If you match her, and not him, that's fraud, Kyle. Attempted grand larceny. That's prison. Kyle looked at Linda. The smugness vanished. Fear replaced it. Mom? Kyle whispered. He slipped. He called her mom. Shut up. Linda yelled at him. You told me he didn't know. Kyle shouted. You told me we were safe. He was supposed to be dead. Linda screamed. He wasn't supposed to talk from the grave. He's talking loud and clear, I said. So, what's it going to be? The polygraph? Or the truth? Linda looked at the document. She looked at me. She looked at the son she had abandoned and then retrieved just to use as a pawn. She crumbled. I can't take the test, she sobbed. I can't. Then you get nothing, I said. He was my retirement plan, she wailed, pointing at Kyle. I needed the money. Richard was cheap. He made me live on an allowance. He made you live on a budget because you spent $50,000 a month on clothes, I corrected her. I deserve it, she screamed. You deserve a cell, I said. I picked up my phone. I dialed 911. What are you doing? Kyle asked, backing away. Reporting a fraud, I said. You presented forged documents. You tried to steal $10 million. That's a felony. Kyle ran. He bolted out the back door. He didn't get far. He was pulled over 3 miles down the road for speeding. When they ran his ID, they found he had outstanding warrants for check fraud in another state. Linda didn't run. She sat on the floor, weeping into her wine-stained dress. The police arrived. They took statements. They took the letters. They took the DNA report. Linda wasn't arrested that night, but the investigation was opened. The estate settled 6 months later. Linda got nothing. She was disinherited by the clause. She tried to fight it, but no lawyer would take the case once they saw the codicil and the DNA results, which I forced her to take during the discovery phase of the lawsuit. Kyle, who turned out to be my half-brother, went to prison for fraud. He testified against Linda to get a reduced sentence. He admitted she coached him. He admitted she wrote the letters. I got everything. The house. The money. The company. I sold the house. It had too many ghosts. I bought a smaller place. Quiet. I invited Linda to coffee last week. She's living in a small apartment, working as a receptionist. She looks older. Tired. Why, she asked me. Why did he do it? Why didn't he just divorce me? Because of me, I said. He didn't want me to lose my mother. Even if she was a liar. She looked down. He was a cruel man. He was a smart man, I said. He played the long game. I paid for her coffee. I left a check on the table. $10,000. For old time's sake, I said. Don't spend it all in one place. I walked away. I don't hate her. I pity her. She had a son. She had a husband who stayed despite everything. And she threw it all away for a payday she never got. My dad left me a fortune. But the real inheritance wasn't the money. It was the truth. So, tell me. Am I the monster for cutting my mother out of $20 million and sending her secret son to jail, or did she just cash a check that my father canceled 30 years ago?
If you have made it this far and want to see more videos like this, then kindly subscribe and turn on notifications so you may never miss another story like this.